Hi everyone. Today's story is about a horse, a beautiful horse, a black horse. So let's begin with this story, which is called Black Beauty, and it was written by Anna Sewell. Black Beauty is a story straight from the horse's mouth. That means the horse is telling the story. It describes the journey of his carefree days as a colt, a young horse, on an English farm with his mother, to his difficult life in London. It also narrates the tale of his happy retirement in the country. Let us read about one of the incidents in his life. The longer I lived at Birtwick Hall, the more proud and happy I felt at having such a place. Our master and mistress were respected and loved by all who knew them. They were good and kind to everybody and everything, not only men and women, but horses and donkeys, dogs and cats, cattle and birds. There was no oppressed or ill-used creature that had not a friend in them, and their workers took the same tone. If any of the village children were known to treat any creature cruelly, they soon heard about it from the hall. So let me explain this part. The horse is saying that he lived at Birtwick Hall and was very happy living there because his master and mistress were respected and loved by everyone. They treated everyone very well, not just humans, but they treated animals very well too. And if anyone treated an animal badly, they went and spoke to the person about it and tried their best to do something about it. The workers, the people who worked for his master and mistress, did the same. They also loved and cared for every animal or person around them. Oppressed means treated badly. My master and Farmer Gray had worked together for more than 20 years to get check reins on the cart horses done away with. And in our parts, you rarely saw them. And sometimes, if mistress met a heavily laden horse, she would stop the carriage and get out and tell the driver in her sweet, serious voice how foolish and cruel it was. I wish all ladies were like my mistress. Our master, too, believed in treating animals well. So, Master and Farmer Gray had worked together for more than 20 years. To do what? To do away with check reins. Now, what are check reins? Check reins are reins used on a horse to keep its head up. And that is really cruel because it hurts the horse. A horse cannot keep its head up when it's walking. It needs to look down as well. So Black Beauty's master and Farmer Gray had worked for so many years to get people to stop doing that. And in our parts, he says the parts where Black Beauty lived, you rarely saw check reins any longer because they had succeeded to such a large extent. Now, it was not only his master who had done great things for animals, for horses. The mistress was also equally sweet. He said that if the mistress ever saw a horse that was extra loaded with things, she would stop the carriage, get out, and tell the driver very sweetly but very seriously that it was a very cruel thing to do to the horse. A horse cannot carry any amount of load. There has to be some form of restrictions. So Black Beauty said, I wish all ladies were like my mistress. His master and his mistress, according to him, were such wonderful people because they treated animals so well. I remember he was riding me towards home one morning when we saw a powerful man driving in a light pony cart with a beautiful little bay with slender legs and a sensitive face. So now Black Beauty is telling us something that happened, an incident. Black Beauty was riding home one morning when he saw a very powerful man in a light pony cart. A bay is a reddish brown horse with a black mane and tail. That cart that powerful man was driving was led by a beautiful bay, a slender one with slender legs and a very sensitive face. So let's see what happens next. Just as he came to the park gates, the little thing, the pony, turned towards them. The man, without word or warning, turned the pony's head with such a force and suddenness that it nearly fell. Recovering itself, it was going on when he hit it furiously. The pony plunged forward, but the man's hand held the pony back with force enough to hurt its jaw, while the whip still cut into it. It was a dreadful sight to me, but Master asked me to speed up, and we reached the cart in a second. So, what was this cruel thing that Black Beauty witnessed? That little pony turned its head in another direction instead of looking forward. And that sturdy man who was on the cart with the pony turned that pony's head back with so much force and suddenness, so suddenly that that pony nearly fell. And as it had recovered itself, the master began to hit it and hit it so badly that the pony plunged forward. It moved suddenly, and the man did not stop hitting it. He held the pony back with so much force that the jaw of the pony was hurt and still kept hitting it. The whip still cut into it means that he kept whipping it. And Black Beauty was very upset about what he saw. But his master told him to go quickly, and we reached that cart in a second, he says. So let's see what his master does about it. Sawyer, he cried in a stern voice, is that pony made of flesh and blood? Flesh and blood and temper, he said. It's too fond of its own will, and I don't like that. He was a builder who had often been to our place on business. Now, that man we are talking about was a builder. Black Beauty knew him very well. So the master asks him, his name is Sawyer. Sawyer, isn't that poor pony made of flesh and blood just like you? And Sawyer says, yes, he's made of flesh and blood, but he's also made of temper. He has his own will, meaning he wants to do things as he likes. He doesn't want to obey me, and I don't like that. And do you think, said Master sternly, that treatment like this will make it listen to you? It should not have turned towards your place. The road was straight on, said the man roughly. You have often driven that pony up to my place, said Master. It only shows the creature's memory and intelligence. How did it know that you were not going there again? I must say, Mr. Sawyer, that I have never witnessed a more brutal treatment of a little pony. And by such anger, you injure your own character more than you injure your horse. And remember, we shall all have to be judged according to our works, whether they be towards man or towards beast. Going back, so the master asks him, Sawyer, you feel that that pony of yours has a mind of its own and he's being disobedient to you. Now, do you think that by hitting it like that and ill-treating it so badly, it will start listening to you? Sawyer doesn't really answer him, but he says, no, I'm angry because the pony turned towards your place instead of going straight on. And the master goes on to say, you have driven that pony to my place so many times. So the pony must have presumed that you were going to the same place. That only shows that the pony has a very good memory and he's intelligent. How would the pony know where you were going? How would the pony know that you wanted it to go straight and not turn towards my place? And the master also tells him, Mr. Sawyer, you are so cruel. I have never seen anyone treating a small little pony so badly. And do you know that when you show anger towards an animal like this kind of anger, it does not solve your problem. It's not going to make the horse listen to you more. No, but it will make all the people who see you hate you. It's going to injure your own character. It's going to make them think that you are a very bad person because they will see what kind of temper you have. And remember, he says, we all have to be judged according to our works. That means God will judge us. He's going to see whether we are good people or not. And that doesn't mean that we have to only treat people well. No, it means that we have to treat people and animals well. Both. Master rode me home slowly. So the master was obviously very upset and he rode Black Beauty home very slowly. And I could tell by his voice how the thing had grieved him. It had made him sad. And now there's another incident that Black Beauty wants to tell us about. Listen to this. On another day, when we were out, we met Captain Langley, a friend of our master's. He was driving a splendid pair of horses. After a little conversation, the captain said, "What do you think of my new team, Mr. Douglas? You know you are the judge of horses in these parts, and I should like your opinion." So what happened? They were out. Who was out? The master and Black Beauty. And they met Captain Langley. He was a captain. And he was a friend of the master's. He had a cart and he was driving it, and he had a beautiful pair of horses in front. So he wanted to show those horses off to Black Beauty's master. So he stopped and he asked the master, he said, "What do you think of my horses, my new team?" That means these two new horses that I've bought. He says, "I know that you are a good judge of horses in these parts. You know horses very well. So I want your opinion. You tell me what you think of them." The master backed me a little, pushed Black Beauty a little back so as to get a good view of them. "They are an uncommonly handsome pair," he said. "And if they are as good as they look, I am sure you need not wish for anything better. But I see you still trouble your horses with that thing and lessen their power." So after the master took a good look at the two horses, he admitted that the horses were very beautiful, and he gave Captain Langley a compliment and said, "They are very beautiful, and if they are good as well, then you could not wish for anything better. But I don't like the fact that you are still using those reins on your horses, the ones that make their heads stand straight and not let them look down at all." "What do you mean by that thing?" said the other. "The check reins?" "Oh, I know stopping those is a hobby of yours. Well, the fact is, I like to see my horses hold their heads up." So Captain Langley says, "You're talking about the check reins, the reins that make the horse keep its head up at all times?" He says, "I know that you don't like it. It's a hobby of yours to stop people using them. But I'm not like you. I want to see my horses walk with their heads up because it makes them look smart." "So do I," said Master. He says, "I also like to see my horses walk with their heads up. But I don't like to see them held up." So there's a difference. Having a horse walk with its head up is a lovely thing. But forcing them to keep their heads up is not a good thing. You are forcing them to keep their heads up. You're tying them like that, keeping their heads so uncomfortable just because you want to see their heads up. That's not right. Now, you are a military man, Langley, and no doubt you like to see your regiment look well on parade, and you say, heads up to them. But you would not take credit for your drill if all your men had their heads tied to a backboard. And it is just the same with horses. So how is the captain learning about his mistake? The master is telling the captain, he says, see, I know you are a military man. You've been in the military. And no doubt you would like to see your regiment, all the soldiers in your regiment, look good, stand straight, keep their heads up, right? When you say heads up, each of them should have their heads up and not bend at all. Then you will say that you have a good set of soldiers. But would you take credit if you held their heads up by force? If you tied their heads to a backboard, would that be fair? Imagine you tied all their heads so that their heads are up all the time, that they're looking up. Then would you be able to say that you trained them well? No, you would not. It's the same with horses. You train your horse to hold its head up. You're not supposed to tie its head up. That's the difference. Let's continue. You may depend upon it. Horses were intended to have their heads free as ours are. And if we could act a little more according to common sense and a good deal less according to fashion, we should find many things work easier. So he continues by telling the captain, he says, your head is free, my head is free. Why should the horse's head not be free? You know, you should just use your common sense to think about this. And if we all used our common sense and did not worry so much about fashion, you know, everyone's horses are walking with their heads up. So I should also have my horses walking with their heads up, no matter what it takes to make them do that. Now, that's not right. So he says, if we use our common sense and not bother about what the fashion is or what people are looking at and what people want you to do, then you will find that many things are easier. I believe you are right, said the other. I'll think about it. So he had made a very good point. So Captain Langley agreed with him and said, I think you are right, and I'm going to think about it. And so they parted. They went their ways. This was the lesson in kindness that I learned at Birtwick. So Black Beauty says, this was a lesson that he had learned, a lesson in kindness. And this is just a small part of the book, Black Beauty, which was written by Anna Sewell. So if you want to know more about the story of Black Beauty, you would have to pick up the book and read it, and you will find it very interesting, especially if you are an animal lover. All right. Now that we've come to the end of the lesson, I have to say bye, like the horse there in the picture. We'll meet again very soon. Bye.